Dual agency occurs when a single real estate agent or brokerage represents both the buyer and the seller in the same transaction. In a typical real estate deal, the buyer and seller each have their own agent to negotiate on their behalf. However, in a dual agency arrangement, one agent, or the same brokerage, works with both parties simultaneously. How dual agency works. In a traditional real estate transaction, the seller hires a listing agent to market and sell their property. The buyer hires a buyer's agent to find a suitable home and negotiate the best deal. These two agents work independently to represent their respective clients' interests. With dual agency, a single agent, or the same brokerage firm, takes on both roles, managing the needs of both the buyer and seller at the same time. This can happen in several ways. Single agent dual agency. One agent personally represents both the buyer and seller. Brokerage dual agency. Different agents from the same brokerage represent each side, but since they work for the same company, it is still considered dual agency. Why does dual agency happen? Dual agency often occurs in situations such as a buyer approaches the listing agent directly instead of hiring their own agent. A brokerage represents both the buyer and seller in a transaction. A new home development where the same real estate company handles all sales. In some states, dual agency is legal but requires full disclosure and consent from both parties. In other states, it is restricted or prohibited due to potential conflicts of interest. Advantages of dual agency. Streamlined communication. Since there is only one agent handling the transaction, communication between the buyer and seller can be more direct and efficient. This can sometimes lead to a faster closing process. Potential cost savings. In some cases, a dual agent may reduce their commission since they are handling both sides of the transaction. This could save money for the buyer or seller. Better knowledge of the property. Since the dual agent has already worked with the seller, they are very familiar with the home and its features, which can help buyers get more detailed information. Disadvantages of dual agency. Conflict of interest. The biggest concern with dual agency is that the agent cannot fully advocate for both parties at the same time. A seller wants the highest price, while a buyer wants the lowest price, making it difficult for one agent to serve both interests equally. Limited negotiation. In a standard transaction, each agent fights for their client's best deal. With dual agency, the agent must remain neutral, which can limit negotiations and make it harder for either party to get the best outcome. Lack of full representation. Buyers and sellers in a dual agency situation may not receive the same level of guidance, advice, or protection they would with separate agents. This can be risky, especially for first-time homebuyers or sellers unfamiliar with the process. Legal restrictions. Some states have strict laws around dual agency or prohibit it altogether due to ethical concerns. In states where it is allowed, agents must disclose their dual role and obtain written consent from both parties. Final thoughts. Dual agency is a unique arrangement in real estate that can streamline communication but also comes with significant drawbacks. While it is legal in some states, the lack of full representation and potential conflicts of interest make it a controversial practice. Buyers and sellers should carefully evaluate their options and consider whether having separate agents would better serve their needs.